Ah, my favorite assassin. I must confess that reading Alara's reports is a rare pleasure. Except this last report. You entered the ruins of Old Carthag, accompanied by the outlaw Zantara, and you returned alone. Tell me what transpired. Spare no detail. The Bene Tleilaxu, a nest of spiders that burned with Old Carthag, or so I thought. And you, a Gola, the flesh of the fallen, reborn. Fascinating. Your service has earned you answers. Ask. Years ago, my informants traced some unusual activity in Carthag to a Bene Tleilaxu lab. Before we could investigate further, the city was destroyed. The destruction of Old Carthag is considered a terrible accident. But was it? I believe it was the Tleilaxu who destroyed the city. A monstrous choice. Destroying innocent lives to cover their profane works. They were the first sign that the Bene Tleilaxu were not done with Arrakis. My agents began reporting stir-ups among the minor power players. We quickly discovered that these were Tleilaxu agents, but that they were Gola was unexpected. Unlike clones, who are grown from living cells, Gola are grown from the flesh of one who has died. The process of doing so is knowledge known only to the Bene Tleilaxu. They make a fortune dealing their blasphemous wares across the Imperium. Spoiled Na familia will pay extraordinary sums to have their favorite pet or retainer resurrected. But they are never quite the same. No Gola has the memories of its original host. No Gola remembers who they are. If you value the past, or the mind, then Gola are worthless. Indeed, you are a refinement. Your compulsion doesn't drive you to madness as it did the ones who came before you. You must have been someone with a recognizable face. The Bene Tleilaxu are forced to hide you in plain sight. Perhaps we can discover the answer together. Recently, there has been a string of murders in Arrakeen. The victims have all been my agents at one time or another. A Tleilaxu retaliation for your efforts on my behalf. Travel to Arrakeen. Find my investigator in the Imperial consulate. He'll be thrilled to have the help. I expect nothing but excellence from you.
Well, if it isn't Fenring's pet puzzle box. Last we met, there was a Sardaukar blade against your throat, and I was debating how best to make you scream. Threats and promises, sounds about right. Let's get this going before the killer makes a third option. This killer is methodical, precise, and they won't stop until the job's done. There's a pattern to the victims. Find it, and you might catch them in the act. And make no mistake, if the Bene Tleilaxu are involved, this isn't just a string of murders. It's a purge, carefully planned and devastating. A threat not only to Arrakeen, but to the stability of the entire Imperium. There is no we. You go out and dig. I stay here and wait for the results. You want suspects? Count Fenring has enemies stacked like sandbags. Some want him dead, some want him ruined, and the rest are just waiting to see which comes first. Start with the engineer, Austin Lath, on the upper level of the Seleucid Bull. The last two victims were known associates. He must be mixed up in this somehow. Lathe sticks to the back rooms. Quiet, curated, and expensive enough to keep the rabble out.
If you're hearing this, well, I didn't get away. I'm Austin Lathe, engineer. The guy they call when they want things done, not questions asked. There was this one chance I could have said no, but I didn't. I crunched the numbers, fine-tuned them. That was all it took to bring down the ceiling on 1,000,000 lives. I didn't press the button, but I knew it was coming. I just didn't want to disappoint the guy who asked. They gave me a new title, a nicer coat, called me Noth Amelia. But after that, they wouldn't look me in the eye. And the thing I hear over and over, it's not the blast, it's my silence. When I found this pamphlet stuck behind a sink, you dig, you sweat, you die, and your work builds opera houses on worlds you'll never see. There was a sandfly staring in the back, razor-winged, sickle-shaped stinger. What bleeds in silence must one day sing. Didn't get it then, but those words stuck.
A proper murder mystery, and I'm a suspect. How wickedly romantic. Perhaps I felt a deadly envy toward my dear friend. Nothing comes to mind. He was a sad sack of wine, whereas I am rather fabulous. Come to think of it, we weren't very close friends. Pshaw, we can hammer out a motive later. I'm just glad to be in the rogues gallery of this caper. I can say this about poisoning Austin. It would be easy to do. The man had recently developed a bottomless appetite for spiced alcohol. Not everyone can handle vice with the charm and panache that I do. People like Austin turn alcoholic dependency into something depressing. Something terrible haunted that man. 1 part guilt and 2 parts fear of discovery, shaken well and garnished with intrigue.
Murder? That's impossible. I don't... How could you... How? No, there's clearly been a mistake. The situation is insane enough without these wild theories. He did become extra agitated. Paranoid, even. Particularly after a meeting with a strange woman. A redhead. He met with her in a closed room for hours. He came out, distressed, immediately ordering a Thopter transport for the following day. I didn't recognize her. She looked, noble, perhaps. I don't know if I should, He had a secret workshop in the Eastern Shield Wall. I don't know why he chose such a remote location. I don't know what he worked on there. I never saw him work. I'll send you the coordinates of the workshop.
After the pamphlet, I started asking questions like, who does this serve? And the answer kept coming back. It serves them, the nobility. And nobody burned brighter on that pyre than Phaedra Vi. Old money, old grudges. She wore ruin like perfume. We drank, talked, pretended we weren't just ghosts. One night, I told her my worst secret. The one I can't say here. She didn't flinch. I asked her what that made me. A man, she said. A man with blood on his hands like the rest of us. You just don't wear gloves. Then one morning she showed up with real gloves, silk, elbow length. I knew she was hiding something. I gave her my worst sin like it was a love letter. She smiled, kissed me, then she asked for a confession. Not for her, for the Harkonnens. Said she needed money to buy back her family's heirloom. I laughed and asked if she was serious. Deadly, she said, and took another sip of her drink like it was just another Thursday.
You've been to the workshop. Did our engineer leave anything behind besides regrets? Murder's noise. Cargo is signal. What kind of high value? Let me see it. Yes, I recognize some of these names. Coincidentally, I have a seat at a banquet with Phaedra Vi, and several others listed on that manifest. I'll gather what I can there. You go back to Phaedra's apartment. That note might be our next key.
They think it's a tribute. A grand revival. I'm hosting it after all. Who better? The same fools who couldn't spell Genusian if I bled it onto parchment. Dressing up the corpse of Old Carthag in borrowed silks like that makes it breathe again. But that night, it wasn't a party. It was the last time the world bent around me. I ruled it for a single night, and nothing that came after ever mattered. Now they wear the masks. They mouth the toasts. They pretend they remember. It's not nostalgia. It's taxidermy. Still, if the ghosts are coming, I'll be waiting at the door.
Said this day would come, when peons would be no better than Morla.
That's crazy, Mother. We have the peons' compact.
To hell with the compact. Do they expect you to work as a machine? Never resting.
Mother, watch what you say. You know they listen. Please. Let's just say the words and have our tea.
The words. Can't. I'm too angry.
But, Mother, we happily say the words every morning.
Fine. We live by our Baron's leave. The roof above our heads belongs to him. Permits us to dwell in his domain pledge our eternal loyalty, obedience, and maximal effort. An eye towards efficiency.
Long live the man. Sorry, brother, but if you must run someone, Blaine Santana, his most recent attack destroyed our last phased ion refinery in the northern precinct. Fremen bastard.
Hey, your father had Fremen blood on his mother's side. It's a blessing he didn't live to see what happened today.
I say good riddance. It said they practiced cannibalism.
Don't be a fool. It was an old Imperial lie. It's well known that the Igwan people remove the blood of their dead to make water.
Mother,
Open your eyes, my son!
I wasn't going to tell you, but thanks to your Fremen hero, we're test firing a long-throw cutter-ray auger today with an ungraded barrel.
That's dangerous.
Only if the phase differential is off by more than 0.0003.
Devon, you can't. I forbid it. Why are they making you do this?
Because, Mother, Zantara destroyed the last facility that made and tested precision las barrels.
No. No.
I've been trying to say this for weeks. Carthag, you want the truth? I was hired to fix a problem, quietly. A man, high voice, long shadow, wanted something buried. No noise, no survivors. I helped him, mapped fault lines, tuned resonance, knew exactly what would happen. They paid me, gave me a new collar, a title I never earned. Carthag fell. You've seen the ash. But I laid the tracks. When the train came, I looked away. The nightmares aren't fire or screams, they're silence. That moment before, I could have said no. Now it's inside me. The rot. I drink, I work, I don't sleep. Take this, sell it, burn it. Just remember, someone knew, even if I don't tomorrow. The two men say first silence, then dust, then wings in the dark. I used to think it was poetry. Now, it feels like a countdown.
I've got lots of customers, each with their own sordid affairs. None of my business. That's unfortunate. I shouldn't say. It's not good business. It's not safe. Phaedra was part of a little cabal who collectively had a stash of treasure they took out of Old Carthag before it blew. Last to live takes the pot. Phaedra was making desperate trades to get the funds to retrieve her ancestral necklace. Well, anything could happen in that nest of covetous snakes. As for that person listed on the manifest, the Overseer, that is Sub-Prefect Tors. He's overseeing that group. Not the sort of thing you spill over afternoon tea, is it? I suppose you'll be catching up with him then and leaving in a hurry, huh?
That's not your door to open, stranger. Push it, and you'll find I'm harder to move than most. And by order of the Emperor, I'm telling you to slow your gallop. There's nothing for you inside. All due respect, but unless you can raise the dead, your timeline has just become flexible. We've got one survivor, technically. Old bird's flapping her wings on the way down. It's my job to know who's whispering in the shadows. This crew kept to themselves. Rich, quiet, and just strange enough to raise my interest. I've had files on half of them since they landed. They didn't emerge from the usual noble channels. No banquets, no procession. They landed like cargo off a discreet ledger. No registry, no flight logs I could get my hands on. And they kept to the shadows after. When nobles start behaving like spies, I start watching like one. They got here right around the time Carthag stopped showing up on maps. You know how it is. Every time a city dies screaming, a few well-dressed ghosts crawl out with new names and no return address.
Oh, splendid. An audience. I was beginning to worry I'd die without one. I was Eulalia Hawthorne, Marchioness, Patroness. And now I'm just the ghost of better parties and worse decisions. Graf Vero died smiling, the fool. Spilled his wine and his wit in equal measure. I do admire a man who keeps his mask on while choking. Blue. A coward's color. Fitting, really. He always did flee when anything required a spine. Or pats. Turns out my precious toxin modulator works. Slows the venom, preserves the drama. I'll die last, bloated with envy and resentment. Just how they'd want me. Oh, do not ruin this for me. I want to die with some shred of mystery, not flanked by bumbling concern.
These little gatherings weren't new. Masquerades are not. Same crowd, same vices. Wine, secrets, and shouting matches dressed up as witty banter. Masks just gave them an excuse to say the quiet parts out loud. They never shouted about spice or power. It was always the desert. Who knew what? Who had the map? Who owed something? Sounded more like a treasure hunt than a banquet. All I know is they were tight-lipped going out, and even tighter coming back. Anyhow, enough jawing. Let me get a look at that guest list. I'll match it with my data and cut through some guesswork. That snooper thing of yours chirped like it knows something? Well done, friend. While you were nosing around, I confirmed that the caskets themselves were not poisoned. Meaning, someone doctored the vino after it was delivered. Always nice when the killer's polite enough to attend their own massacre. Turns out the wine was arranged by a man named Ambrose Lucifera. Fancy name for a glorified errand boy.
Please do me the courtesy of telling me why I am being detained. What's the charge? Supplying wine to a banquet? A decadent Arrakeen banquet? Oh, balderdash, this is becoming intolerable. You've turned a juicy murder plot into something tedious. How could I possibly be involved with... Whom did you say was murdered? Well, now, see here. I merely arranged for the wine to be delivered. Everyone knows I have a knack for finding the best. These sealed bottles were poisoned. Oh, well, there you have it. I took no involvement in their glassware, merely in arranging for the reception of a very fine vintage. I trust this absolves me. A rare vintage from the planet of Grenbel, home of the exquisite Maros deer. A libation so fine, even the most domineering Chussock. Why, yes, any of the staff of the Seleucid Bull, as well as a few of the regulars, can attest to my presence. My debauching is quite conspicuous.
Two masked assholes dead on the floor. Guess the toast hit harder than they bargained for. One of the remaining two guests is Lady Bianca Baghetti, a puffed-up hanger-on from a disgraced minor house. That means the last dead asshole is Sub-Prefect Tors. No, I mean Tors is here. Good afternoon, Sub-Prefect.
There you are. Report. Don't look so slack-jawed. Who else were you expecting? I was delayed. A pity. Perhaps I might have averted this unpleasantness. A grisly thought. One I've already entertained. They are no more my people than you are. I watch them as Fenring commands, though their antics hardly inspire admiration. What manifest? Carthag. There it is. Motive. The killer is eliminating the survivors of Old Carthag one by one. Revenge, concealment, or the quiet removal of a dangerous truth that could unpick alliances from here to Kaitane. Indeed, and if you've a name for the hand that signed that order, now would be the time to share it. Our assassin isn't merely killing, they're closing the book on Carthag. Yes. And how do you suggest I handle this? What have you learned of their methods? Then I must go. To catch a killer. Don't be a fool. One sight of you and our ghost, as you call it, will vanish. Better you leave them to me. There's nothing here. The killer saw us coming. Now the trail is cold, and we're going to have to report our failure to Count Fenring. You've been an adequate assistant. I'll put it all in my report. You can leave now and report back to whoever it is you report to. Stop! In spite of everything, the Master still wants you alive. To fulfill your mission, find the Fremen, wake the sleeper. I still recognize you, even with this face, even with this flesh. You move like you always did. Smile like you always did. Don't follow me. I have a mission of my own.
And if you get in my way, I'll put you down. We can always grow you again, after all.